met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Among the world's most modern motorsports facilities, Kansas Speedway opened for business in 2001, some 15 miles west of Kansas City, Kansas, under the ownership of International Speedway Corporation. Originally consisting of a 1.5-mile tri-oval with uniform 15-degree banking, the facility underwent a major revamp in 2012 that resulted in progressive banking of the oval at 17 to 20 degrees, along with the addition of a 6-turn road course incorporating a twisty infield section in all but a few hundred feet of the oval. The facility has permanent seating for 72,000 spectators, along with a hotel and casino featuring more than 100,000 square feet of gaming space. Kansas Speedway has hosted a variety of motorsports events over the years, including all 3 NASCAR Premier Series, ARCA, the Indy Cars, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series, which utilizes the road course. And then lighting was completed. 2011, they just might be on tonight. It's the Lonestar Racing Cup Series, Kansas City 125. It's coming up next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Kansas Speedway. I'm Steve Singer with HBR TV, bringing you the Lonestar Racing Cup Series Season 2 in tonight's Kansas City 125. 125-lap race. Air temperature 78 degrees, 56% humidity, just a slight breeze. An 80-degree track temperature, which will likely see that come down here as the race goes on with the sun setting and all. Of course, the lights are on here at the Speedway already. Beautiful sunset in the background here at Kansas Speedway as we get ready to wrap up practice and jump right into qualifying here in just a few minutes. Taking a look at the fast times so far in the session. Terry Crouch, fastest so far. His time of 30.80. Drew Blaze, second quick, 30.86. Chris Goins is third fast with a 30.87. Got Darrell Larson fourth, Derek Welch fifth. Some very tight times, especially up there in those top 3. Crouch, though, 3/4 of a tenth, and that doesn't seem like much. But you look at the spacing between the rest of the drivers out there, that's a pretty big gap to go from 30.86 to 30.8. Pretty significant. Now we'll see how Terry operates here tonight. He's kind of gotten back into this oval thing. He's more than anything else a road racer. He's got a lot of time and experience in iRacing and sim racing. He's got some background in the oval side of things, but again, hasn't done a whole lot of it, been kind of sticking to road racing, and it's kind of shown. He's got the pace at most of these places that we go to, but it comes down to the end of the race, tire conservation being what it is, hasn't been able to seal the deal just yet. Just under a minute remain in the practice session. Again, we were originally going to do this race on a tape delay this weekend. I ended up wrapping up my work trip a little sooner than anticipated, so here we are. We're going to be live tonight. Always good to get them done when they're scheduled. Again, if you're in watching the stream right now, please go ahead, like, follow, share, and subscribe. And right now, most important, go ahead and share. Because, again, a lot of people thought we weren't going to get this in until the weekend. Things changed. Make sure everybody is aware of what's going on and they can come in here and watch this race live. Terry Crouch not going to waste any time rolling out of pit lane here. Another new paint scheme for that Chevy Camaro. Again, Terry fastest in the practice session with a 30.8. He's taking the green flag here. Lap 1 of 2. 5-minute session to lock yourself into the field and set the field for tonight's race. Oh, a little lift and a little contact with the outside wall. Terry going to scrub some speed out of turn 2, trying to get everything he can. Terry Crouch invalidated his lap time by getting into the fence. We'll see what he can lay down here on his second lap. Does he get the wall again? I don't know. He definitely lifted again. Really just dancing on that fine line of the edge. 31:35 the top time for now. Let's see Terry Crouch. Lap 2. Does he get a time? 31:11, P1 for now. Drew Blaze on the track. Might have had the same situation on his first lap. Might have got into the fence because he did not lock in a time. He's on his second lap again. Different line. Drew Blaze taking the bottom. Across the stripe, Larson goes P1. Drew Blaze goes 5th, 31:202. Chris Muth Jr., the NTG driver, one of many. Lap 1's a 31:488. It's good enough for 11th quick for now. Into turn 3 on his second lap. Lap 2 is quicker, 31:25, puts him P7. Clay Atwood. Don't know that he registered a time at all. Might have had incidents on both laps. Meanwhile, Chris Goins taking the green on lap 1. So Chris waited a little bit longer. Oh, and he's in the fence. Just going to say, Chris waited a little bit longer to roll out and start his attempt, trying to get a little more temperature out of the racetrack. Overcooked it into turn 1. Hopefully he didn't hurt the car or that right front tire. He's going to have to rely on his second lap to get him into this show. Bart Collins goes 31:52. He's 13th on his first lap. Let's stay with Chris here and see where he can lock himself in. And Larson, top time, 31:06. Terry Crouch, a 31:11. all the way down to the grass. 30.993. Chris Goins goes top of the board. Not quite what we saw in practice, but there may have been some draft involved there. Provisional pole sitter Chris Goins. A few drivers left to get their time in, and I don't know if they're going to be able to at this point. Corey Deal hasn't started. Jonathan Arnn hasn't started. Looks like Michael Doan, the only contender here that possibly knocked Chris Goins off the pole. 16th quick on lap 1, 31.554, and he's in the fence. That's going to invalidate this lap as well as qualifying comes to an end, and it looks like Chris Goins is going to be on the pole here tonight at Kansas. With that said, let's take a look here at our starting grid on the pole position with a lap time of 30.993 seconds. It is the EDA, AgentDotson.com machine of Chris Goins. Starting to the outside front row, it is the 5 of Darrell Larson. Row number 2, Terry Crouch starts 3rd. 4th goes to Tim Dummermuth. Mark Collins is going to start in the 5th spot. PJ Cox, P6. Derek Welch is going to roll from P7. Drew Blaze is going to roll from the 8th position. 9th starter goes to Chris Muth in the number 8. Sean Roberts, the number 66. Shenandoah Shine, he'll start 10th. Starting 11th, Jason Blaney with Fueled Up Motorsports. Nick Kolakowski is going to start from the 12th position in the number 22. Jarrett Woodard, the number 79 out of Canada, will start 13th. Dave Colburn, 14th. Dane Lloyd in the 09 starts in the 15th spot. Michael Doan, the 007, will start 16th. Ken Couch in the 08 will start 17th. 18th starter is Mark Mitchell in the 07. The real deal, Corey Deal, starts in the 19th spot. In the number 9, Justin Johnson with Lonestar Racing. The 10X will start 20th. Clay Atwood, the 111 Hot Lap Hero, will start 21st. And last but not least, the number 43 of Jonathan Arnn. He'll start today from the 22nd position. It's your starting grid for the Kansas City 125. Field just leaving pit lane. Starting to roll. We should have a green flag the next time by. Once again, everybody, if you're in watching the stream, Chris Harvey was our pole sitter in the stream chat, so don't be bashful. Feel free to jump into the chat, say hello, where you're watching from, who you're cheering for, all the good stuff. We do appreciate it. Ask questions if you want. Can't always get to everybody. It's not that kind of show. But if you throw something out there that's interesting and I can use it, I'm going to use it. Looks like everybody's formed up nice. Double file. Pace car down pit lane as we get ready to go under the green flag. It weighs. Chris Goins with a good jump. He's off and running. We're underway from Kansas Speedway. Oh, we got Spinner on the back straightaway. Caution out already. Not sure who exactly was involved in that. Maybe Corey Deal. No, he looks good to go. PJ Cox definitely involved. Minimal damage, if any, on the liquid death machine. Derek Welch may have been our initial spinner. I'm not 100% sure just yet. We will get a peek. Didn't even get the timing tower up on that one, but let's go take a look. See what happened off of turn number 2 to kick this one off. Oh, it looks like the 5. Darrell Larson. Darrell started, I think it was in the 2nd spot. Yeah, he was right in behind Terry Crouch when this incident happened. Let's look at it here. Again, he's already loose. I'm going to back it up just a tick further here. He has a little bit of a tank slap. And I'll explain that in a minute. Big time loose in the middle of the corner. Drives it down the racetrack. He's still trying to save the car. Goes up the track. I mean, he's swatting at flies in that cockpit. Of course, it's lap 1, so guys are all on top of each other trying to avoid. Larson's going to spin in front of these guys. I think everybody gets clear without any major contact at all. You see Derek Welch here in the number 1 NTG machine, PJ Cox as well. And it looks like coming back up to banking is where you have the issue. I think he got to the throttle too hard, maybe spun the rear tires, and he slides back up the racetrack. Looked a whole lot more exciting than the damage would indicate, because everybody seemed to get through here relatively unscathed. Of course, Larson's going to lose a ton of track position out of this. So it goes from the front row to P3 in just the first couple of corners. And then the exit of that corner, almost the back of the field. He sits in 20th right now, only ahead of PJ Cox and Michael Doan. Tough way to start a race. Certainly not what Darrell wanted to have happen. So 4 laps in, we've only gotten about half a lap in under the green flag. Chris Gillens is your leader, Terry Crouch, Mark Collins, Tim Dummermuth, and then Drew Blaze in P5. So one thing I've noticed about Drew Blaze, we've been calling races for LSR for quite a while, is, you know, there's some tracks that Drew is just going to be lights out fast. He's going to win practice. He's going to win the pole. He's going to win the race. Other tracks, not always the fastest in practice. Not going to necessarily start P1. He started 8th here. But I can almost guarantee you throughout the course of this race, he's going to be a contender. He's already up 3 spots. Pace car lights are off, so we should get the green flag and a restart here the next time by.
Green flag.
Green flag in the air. We're back underway. Oh, we got more trouble. Guys spin in the middle of 1 and 2 once again.
Caution. Okay, quickly
Big
tell me
time
what you
trouble.
think
These
you
guys
had
are
there.
still crashing. Jim Dummermuth, Michael Doan, and others involved in this. Let's try to get settled down, boys. Got to get at least 1 lap of green flag racing in. Well, let's see if we can see what happened here. Michael Doan involved in it. Looks like he comes into the picture a lot later. See guys checking up and diving to the bottom already, trying to see who kicked this one off. Oh, it might have been Larson again. No, wasn't Larson. It was the 07. 007. Nope, just the 07. Sometimes these triple numbers are interesting to try and figure out here. Mark Mitchell looks like to be the root cause here. Let's back it up one more time, trying to get a better eye on it. Oh, these guys came together. Far too aggressive this early on. We haven't even gotten a full green flag lap completed. Oh, there's more to it than that. We unpacked this a little further. There was some contact on the bottom. That was with, I think, the 86 of Tim Dummermuth. That was off the nose of the 24. Trying to get a better shot here to see how this happened. Okay, so contact from the 8. Sends the 86 down the track. He's going to clip Roberts. No, it gets clear. Does spin across the nose of the 24. And this is essentially what has kicked off this caution, because the 24 slides up the track into the 22, sends him up into the 07, the 79. The rest is history. All right, 8 laps in. Pace car lights are off, so we're on the 1 to go again. Drew Blaze has picked up a few more spots. He's listed as the 3rd place machine. He's up 5 positions. It's pretty good, seeing as how we've only run about a half to a full lap of green flag racing. Restart's going to come on lap 9. See if everybody can find their P's and Q's once again and get this thing figured out. Again, this next-gen Cup car can be challenging to get a hold of, especially early on in a run. And my tardy booth partner, Zach Millett, has arrived in the HBR TV booth. How you doing, Zach?
Hey, Steve. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. Running some errands. That's okay. We're only 8 laps in and really haven't had a whole lot of green flag action to call. Pace car is down, and
Green flag.
we're under the green flag once again. Good restart for Chris Goins. Gets the jump on the 59 of Terry Crouch. Good restart for Chris Goins. Does everybody get through turn 2 this time? Looks like it. The first time at speed into turns 3 and 4 this afternoon. It comes at lap 9. Chris Goins looking off turn number 4 to put lap 10 up on the board. He continues to lead from the pole. Now a 0.7 of a second advantage over Terry Crouch. Car in the wall. Mark Collins scrapes the right side of the safer barrier, continues on. The gap closes in. Contact with the 24 and the 66 out of turn number 2. Sean Roberts pulls ahead of the 24, looks to the inside of Collins. Sean Roberts going to battle back. The 8 comes in, gives a push to the teammate of his, the 45 machine. That is Mark Collins. Meanwhile, Jason Blaney up top trying to take the position away. Car in the wall again. Don't know who exactly it is just yet. More guys trying to scramble to avoid that car. I think it's the 07 who was involved in our prior caution. Mark Mitchell, that is a lap car.
Steve, you sure it's not 10 to go already? Sure seems like it.
The way that they've started this thing, like I said, Zach, I don't know how long you were actually sitting up in here to see this, but the very first lap, we had a pretty big incident, middle of 1 and 2, and then the next restart, the same thing happened again.
Yeah, I missed the first 2. I was busy paying some Kansas parking tickets.
Either way, Chris Goins still out in front, extending his lead over the 59 of Terry Crouch. Top 3 spread out. Drew Blaze starting to close in on Crouch.
Chris Goins looking strong so far.
Yeah, didn't see a whole lot of that pace in the practice session, but he threw down a fast lap in qualifying. Only driver to get below 31 seconds.
That's the thing, too. If Chris is out here turning these laps, you know he's saving tire, too. He always is thinking about, you know, the race as a big picture.
Dave Coburn in the 20, working on the 05 of PJ Cox, just 3 car lengths ahead. PJ trying to get around the 09 of Dane Lloyd. Jonathan Arndt, that powder blue 43, petty blue 43. This is for the 14th position. PJ Cox goes to the bottom. The 007 goes with. Jonathan Arndt's going to lose probably 2 spots out of this. Michael Doan, the 007, machine that black and red car at the bottom. Still alongside the 43 of Arndt. Those of you trying to keep up with fuel calculations and tire strategy, 70% max fuel load tonight. 3 sets of tires available over the wall. Zach, it seems almost a generous number of tire sets, to be honest, especially in a place like Kansas in a short race, about 125 laps.
Yeah, it really is. It really kind of takes some strategy out. If there's going to be a caution, you know you're coming down. If there's anything past 15, 20 laps, I definitely want to set.
Oh, contact with Arndt and Couch. Arndt gets into the fence. Drives it down to the bottom. We stay under the green flag.
Let's see how broke that car is.
Arndt's still in the grass. Hasn't been able to get back to the racetrack. I gotta wonder if he's got some damage he's trying to nurse there, because he's gonna stay to the bottom here. He's not really back up to speed yet.
Yeah, it looks like it's tracking straight, but that right front is pushed in pretty good, I think.
Yeah, he's struggling with it.
Yeah, look at it slide. That's tough.
Yeah, he can't get it to turn. Just barely makes the commitment cone. Well, let's get a look, see what we can see happening here. Contact with the wall already occurring at this point. Let's back it up. Full speed. Yeah, that was a big hit.
It's definitely enough to break something. Looks like he just got loose off 4 and got into the 8 car.
The unfortunate thing is the caution never came out, so he's going to lose a ton of time here. Chris Goins still out in front. Terry Crouch now starting to close in. It was about 9/10 of a second. It's now half that at 4.5 tenths. Crouch all over the back bumper of Chris Goins here, trying to find a path to go on by. Looking to the high side here at the stripe, it looks like Terry Crouch is going to take the top spot. Doesn't quite have Chris clear. Way up the racetrack goes the 59, just inches off the outside safer barrier. On to turn number 2, keeps it pinned down a little further than he normally would, at least in qualifying. And he does finally clear Chris down the backstretch into turn 3. So change of position. New leader here, lap 23, Terry Crouch. And he continues to pull away now from Chris Goins. Another driver we want to watch, Corey Deal. 19th starter tonight, up into the 6th position already.
Now, was he last week's winner, Steve?
Well, that's just it. He was last week's winner, and if I remember correctly, and I didn't get a chance to look at the pre-race announcements because, well, I just got home. But I think he got the EOL at the start, so he had to start at the very back regardless of his qualifying position, which was only a few more spots further down than the 19th that he was qualified as. Last week they were out at Dover Motor Speedway, significantly different racetrack than what we have here at Kansas. I do recall him saying this place was kind of in his wheelhouse. Now next week we go to Nashville Super Speedway. Another track somewhat similar to this, at least as far as size and kind of how you approach the line, approach the racetrack itself. But how would you compare these two? Nashville versus Kansas.
Boy, you know, they are pretty similar. I don't know, turn 1 and 2 at Nashville is a little different for me. It seems like when the car gets further into the run, it gets pretty tough to get off the exit of that turn. But this one, I don't know, I'd start out low at this track and eventually work up towards the wall. If I remember right, Nashville, I'm usually right about the middle.
Now, isn't Nashville, I mean, I don't think it's banked as high as Kansas is, but it's a lot wider.
Yeah, I think it's wider, and yeah, it's definitely flatter. I think that's what makes it a little tough to get off the exits. It starts pushing pretty hard. Fun track, though. Great track.
Back half of the top 10 here. The battle's still hot and heavy. Sean Roberts, PJ Cox. Justin Johnson losing a couple of spots here. He slides back. Not sure if he got a piece of the wall there. Way off the pace is the 10. Not sure the issue with the 10 of Justin Johnson. I can only assume he got a piece of the wall. And Justin was running inside the top 10 when this issue, whatever it may be, occurred. I can't seem to figure it out. The right side of the car looks clean.
That's weird. Maybe some sort of hardware issue.
I mean, he's driving into the pits. Well, tough to say. Let's keep an eye on that. Justin Johnson sits in the 19th position after a slow lap on the bottom of the racetrack. Takes it to pit lane for tires and fuel. I can't imagine that was a planned issue, unless he just was trying to come to pit lane. Maybe he missed it. We didn't catch it. On board with Derek Welch, he runs in the 10th spot. The gatekeeper of the top 10 for the time being. Sean Roberts just ahead in 9th. PJ Cox closing in on Derek Welch, 2 to 3 car lengths off the back bumper of the NTG Toyota. Just taking a look, I think if he just stays right in the slipstream there, he might have a better chance of catching Derek.
That's a great looking car, isn't it?
Some fancy water.
Yeah, it is.
Derek Welch taking a look to the inside on the 66 of Sean Roberts. This is for the 9th position. Side by side into turn 3. Welch drives it in deep. Roberts stays in his lane. very easily. Derek Welch takes the 9th position away. Roberts, though, taking a peek to the inside. He's going to try and repass Derek. It's one thing you see a lot of times. Drivers will take an opportunity. As soon as they get past, they'll cross over, they'll try and repass, or they'll just be very aggressive in defending that position, pinch the guy down, keep him on the bottom. Sean Roberts, more of a, okay, go ahead and go by me. I'm going to reset, see what you're doing, and then the next lap I'm going to challenge. He did that. It didn't pay off, but that's kind of a calculating move for a driver. Make the decision, how hard do I want to push this right now? We're only 35 laps in. Get a little bit late on tires as far as that's concerned, so maybe doesn't want to push the issue too hard either. What's your experience in these next-gen Cup cars, Zach, as far as, how do they respond to old tires?
Steve, it's funny. I was going to ask you the same thing, how these the newer cars were at this track. I don't know if it wears the same as, say, like a truck, where it just gets real tight, or maybe the extra power in these cars, keep it a little loose when you get back into it. I don't know. I'd like to maybe take one of these for a spin around this place and see how it wears out. I'm thinking these guys can still pass pretty much anywhere they want, watching Welch make the move on the bottom.
Nick Kulikowski going by the 43 of Jonathan Arnn. Again, Arnn not on the lead lap. In the fence, though, almost gets into Derek Welch.
Caution.
And the caution comes out. Not sure exactly. Sean Roberts, possibly. Yes, trouble. Sean Roberts, Ken Couch, PJ Cox. Looks like he got a piece of it as well. Well. Let's unpack this, shall we?
Turn 4 is the spot tonight.
This one, the wrecking already underway. Gonna back it up here. Looks like Sean Roberts was just pushing too hard out of 4. Puts it in the fence.
Looks like this wall is just going to spit him right back out into traffic. Oh, unfortunately gets both.
Safer barrier sucked him in, spit him out. Right into Ken Couch, PJ Cox. Nothing you can really do about it. You guys are so close together at the time. And you're almost afraid, if you're Sean Roberts in that instance, you're almost afraid to lift because you got guys right there. Of course, he doesn't want to give up the position, but he's also worried, if I lift here, is the guy behind me going to catch it, and or will he run me over? It's kind of a catch-22. Do I wreck because I drive it in the fence, or do I wreck because I lift?
Yeah, it almost comes down to self-preservation at that point. Just take the chance and hope the guy behind you is paying attention. Broadcaster's curse, though, Steve. Man,
I guess so.
Compliment the car, and 2 laps later?
Pit stops underway here from Kansas Speedway. Terry Crouch as your race leader. He is in. Chris Goins also into that number 1 pit stall. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel for all, I would imagine. Terry Crouch down and away. Drew Blaze as well. And Terry beat out the 1. Chris Goins out 3rd. Now we'll have to see how this cycles through to see who is where, but we're going to jump out and get a break out of the way, and we'll be back after this.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back live at Kansas Speedway. Pace car
Green
is
flag.
pulled off. The green flag waves, and we're back underway. Good restart for Terry Crouch. Horrible restart for Drew Blaze. I don't know if he got caught sleeping, but Jason Blaney giving him a big time push down the front stretch into turn number 1. Chris Goins to the bottom. He's alongside. It'll be interesting to see how this one pans out with these 4 drivers in the mix. But here comes Corey Deal. He's also now into the top 5. Now we've got some fast guys all battling. It's 3 wide into turn 3 for a moment. Drew Blaze up the racetrack into the marbles. Does not get the wall. But Blaney shot out of a cannon up into P2.
Fresh tires, Steve. Let's go.
Use them or lose them. Big wiggle out of Drew Blaze off turn number 2. So these drivers have taken their first set of tires through that cycle of pit stops. Still 2 sets over the wall. On board with Jason Blaney as he goes around Drew Blaze for P2. I don't know if Drew had the lift or if Blaney had that much of a run, but he just fired by the 1. Jason Blaney up to the 2nd spot just like that. Things that make you go, huh.
Yeah, hit the nos.
So very quickly, the top 4, top 5 really have all spread out from each other. Half a second back to Blaney, then another 2.5 tenths to Blaze. About the same back to Chris Goins. Another half second plus back to Corey Deal in 5th. On the bumper cam with Terry Crouch looking back at 2nd and 3rd. That's Jason Blaney and then Drew Blaze. Got a full eclipse right now from Jason Blaney. Deficit between Crouch and Blaney is slowly but surely getting smaller and smaller. Out of turn 4, it's a car length and a half, maybe 2, back to the 24.
Yeah, I feel like Drew's closing in too to these 2.
Well, that's the thing too, is you got to wonder, is Terry holding Blaney up here?
I think Blaze might have got a piece of the wall off too there.
Yeah, I've seen Drew have some issues a couple of times out of turn number 2. I
Yeah,
don't
look at the
know
ground he left.
if that was the same issue he had when he got passed out of 4 by Blaney. Car looks okay for now. Battle back out front for the lead. Terry Crouch with it. Jason Blaney stalking the 59. Deficit's been 2 tenths and 2.5 tenths every lap, the last handful of them. Unable to close down the gap too much. Don't know if that's because there's some aero push coming from the car in front. The design of these new next-gen Cup cars are kind of engineered to help prevent that. So much of the downforce on these race cars created by basically the floor of the race car instead of the outside surfaces of the race car, as far as the roof, basically everything that you can see. Yes, there's a spoiler that's going to put some rear downforce on it, and of course you're still going to dirty up the air in the wake behind you. But the goal with creating downforce with that rear diffuser and the floor of these race cars was to help limit the aero push in traffic. Again, it's not a perfect science. It isn't ever going to go away. You put a 3,400-pound race car in front of you at 180 miles an hour, there's going to be some turbulence to deal with.
Yeah, and if you're that car in second place, boy, you notice it when you're diving it into a corner, really hoping and praying you got every little bit of that downforce.
If any iRacers are out there, if you want to really experience what aero push is like, get into a group of race cars, get in the Indy car, and turn laps at Indianapolis in traffic. And then do it without traffic, and your mind will be blown to how much of a wake is created out the back of an Indy car, and it's how bad it really makes the cars handle when you're behind somebody. You have to basically adjust anti-roll bars on the fly as Jason Blaney gets into the fence just a bit. It's going to slow his momentum. Terry Crouch is going to sneak up a little bit further, but Drew Blaze might take back the spot. Big bump coming to the 24.
Shuts the door on Blaze there.
I think Blaney knew that was coming, and I don't think he had a problem with it because, truthfully, Drew gets into him like that. It just bumps his momentum back up, stops the run out of the one.
Yeah, and we've seen that these newer cars, they can take the abuse.
Oh, across the nose. That was close. We got Strife, and I was told, I think last week, who that was. It is an LSR Cup Series driver who was not able to make the race tonight. I forget who it is specifically. He'll probably identify himself in a minute. But he says, is that really how much these cars weigh? I think it's actually more. I think the next Gen Cup car went up. The old Gen 7 or Gen 6, now I'm getting them all messed up. But the previous iteration of the NASCAR Cup car, rule book was 3,400 pounds. I think these ones are just a bit heavier. Man, look at Drew just pushing the 24 of Blaney. Change of position. Blaze to the bottom. Blaney up top. Crossover coming. Oh, contact between Blaney and Blaze. It's lap 56, boys. We're not even halfway. Good Lord. Oh, Drew Blaze in the fence.
Drew pulls the slide job.
Yeah, and Blaney didn't appreciate it. Got into him again.
Yep.
I think Blaze got a piece of the wall. We'll see if Drew comes back and pays it back as well. These guys are fighting hard for second here early on in this race, and Drew's in the fence. Oh, doored him again.
Oh, boy.
These guys are not happy with each other. Bumper cars into 3 and 4. Blaze back topside. Blaney's still on the bottom. Meanwhile, Crouch is like, why am I getting away from these guys? 2 seconds the advantage for the 59 of Crouch.
I can't get over it, Steve. These cars have been abused so much in the last 5 laps, and they look great. They look totally fine.
These cars really do take a lot of abuse before they break, but that's the problem, is they don't usually bend, but they do break. Blaney back to the inside of Blaze into turn 3. A little less aggressive this time. Blaney drives it up the track. Blaze crosses over again.
Kind of starting to look like Eldora here, Steve.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know Jason Blaney's background, but Drew Blaze certainly no stranger to dirt racing. I know we're not doing that here, but we're seeing plenty of slide jobs and then re-slide jobs.
I think we're seeing Terry Crouch out front, just loving every second of this, and then we got Chris Goins that's just watching this and probably just keeping his distance.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's probably thinking, all right, well, I could close in on these guys where they, play peekaboo with each other here and maybe come up and get some spots out of it, or I can wait for them to wreck each other and then just pick them up that way. But he doesn't want to be too close when that happens. He doesn't want to become collateral damage. Terry Crouch still your leader, 3.5 seconds ahead of the one of Drew Blaze. For now, Blaney just off the back bumper, a car length and a half. These two have had a ferocious battle the last 10 laps or so. And Blaney gets a piece of the wall mid-corner. Didn't seem to hurt him. Zach, I did a little back research here. I stand corrected. They're still a heavy Chevy. They're not 3,400 pounds. They're 3,200 pounds. So they actually got a little bit lighter than the previous NASCAR Cup car.
I'm surprised. Usually the newer things get nowadays, the heavier they get.
Well, it is still a big lumbering, full-bodied stock. But you can take 200 pounds out of it. Makes everybody happy.
Absolutely. Everything helps.
Strife in the stream chat says he's still increasing that gap, and he's right. It's 4.2 seconds now. These two in that battle for that second spot and a little bit of short temper for both of them, it seems. They probably burned up their stuff, so they're going to be a little bit off pace. Terry Crouch's last lap at 31.95. Drew Blaze was a 32.16. Jason Blaney a 32.19. So he's definitely turning laps quicker out by himself. Just about past halfway here. In fact, we are past halfway. Lap 65 of 125. Hard to gauge when the pit window really is. Obviously, we had a couple of cautions to start the race, so that kind of changed things up. Of course, we've run about 65 laps. We've still got to finish 66. We've had 3 cautions. We've already completed a pit cycle. Of course, that was under the caution flag. So, again, we don't really know 100% what that fuel window is. If anybody's in the stream chat and knows, feel free to send us that information. Kevin Blue says, Terry Crouch is lucky I had to work tonight. Just saying. And then Tristan says, I guess I'm here to watch Drew Blaze wreck. Fahey's not here, so got to pick somebody. 5 seconds the advantage for Terry Crouch. And this battle for the second spot has calmed down, but I fear getting away from it. It's going to shape up here in a minute, though. Chris Muth and Corey Deal, they have closed in on these two. They were a little more conservative with their aggression levels. Muth gets a piece of the wall, and a big one at that. Chris Muth has the pace, was alongside the 24 of Blaney a half lap ago. He's going to make a move here again into turn 3, it looks like. He does tuck in behind, picks up a little bit of draft off of Blaney, takes a peek into turn 3. Corey Deal looks to be going with the 8 here. Blaney slides up the track, but he's going to have a run out of the corner just because of that. Thought he was going to cut down. The 8 of Muth Jr. was right there, so couldn't come down to the apron as he wanted to.
Boy, back into the wall again.
Terry Crouch with an entire straightaway advantage over P2 Drew Blaze.
Well, I think Terry would love nothing more than this race to stay green.
Still side by side for the third spot. Chris Muth, Jason Blaney. I wonder how many times I've called him Ryan and didn't even notice it.
I haven't even noticed if you have tonight.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know if I did it. Corey
Probably
Deal
wouldn't even notice.
gets to the inside of Blaney here. Blaney tried to block it off, just didn't have enough time or space to make it happen. Blaney's going to slide now to the 5th spot. Crossover. Not enough momentum this time. I think Deal's going to have that spot. Man, look how high up the racetrack the 9 is running on entry.
Absolute Larson line, isn't it?
Mark Collins and Darrell Larson in the pits. Don't know if they're a little bit off sequence here. Most drivers pit around lap 38. Terry Crouch, 6.6 seconds the advantage over the rest of the field. Drew Blaze runs P2. Chris Muth under pressure from Corey Deal. Deal on the bottom. Muth goes up the track. Deal's going to have a nose alongside. Checks up a bit. 51 laps to go here from Kansas. We're going to go HBR TV side by side. Stay with us. Won't miss a minute. We'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Kansas Speedway, lap 82 of 125. Green flag pit stops underway. Leader Terry Crouch has yet to peel off the racetrack, still enjoying a 9-second advantage over the 9 of Corey Deal. Top 8 drivers not on the pit lane as of yet. 9th place, Dave Coburn, has pulled down the pit lane. These would be scheduled stops. And here comes Terry Crouch. I mean, is there really any question? This has got to be a 4-tire stop, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, I wouldn't think about doing anything else. Fill it with gas, give me 4 fresh feel goods.
Meanwhile, Corey Deal is taking over the top spot as Terry Crouch is in the box.
And you know Terry was paying attention throughout all this too, Steve. He saw Drew Blaze come in from second place, short pit just a little bit, and he was smart enough to get down pit road and not let Drew gain that track position on track.
Yeah, I think Drew realized that he burned his stuff up, and he says, well, my only option now is to try the undercut. Get some fresh rubber underneath him, see if he can get some track position made up just by running faster laps. Luckily for Terry, he had enough of a lead on Drew that he could afford another lap or 2 around before he even opted to hit the pits himself, which will kind of help him out later on if this run continues under the green flag.
And what do you think about mileage here, Steve? Can they make it, or are they going to have to do a splash?
It's tough to say. Like I said, I don't know what the pit window was. Usually when I'm in town all week, I get to hear all these conversations about, well, this is where we're at, this is what the pit window is, this is that, this is this. But literally getting home about an hour or so before the race.
And for as much as we've been at Kansas here this past week, we were just talking in every other vehicle, it seems like. You know, these cars are just so different. It's hard to compare.
The tires are certainly different, but the fuel strategy too. I mean, yes, they're running a 70% max fuel load. So that's going to come into play too. But with these guys, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're all pushing for a particular number as far as when their pits are concerned. You know, Drew Blaze came down pit lane. That was lap 79, and we're here at lap 86. We've still got green flag stops with some of our leaders. So meanwhile, Derek Welch, your new leader. It's lap 86, and he may come to pit lane this time. We'll see. Yes, he's out of the throttle, slowing the way down. Off at turn 4, the NTG Toyota makes pit lane. Justin Johnson still in the pits. Looks like he never came back on, so I don't know if he had a different issue unrelated to a race incident. Tough break for the 10. He's going to finish this one in 22nd. Lucky for Derek and his sponsor, cameraman right in his pit box. So through the green flag stops, Terry Crouch cycles back to the lead with a 9.2 second advantage over the 05 of PJ Cox. Drew Blaze is now up into the 3rd spot. Mind you, PJ did pit lap 80, so I don't know if he just got on and off faster than Drew did. Good stop for the 05 for sure, 14.73, only a half a tenth quicker than Drew Blaze, but I don't know where he was running before. I know he was involved in that one incident where he spun down through the tri-oval grass. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th we got right here. PJ Cox, Drew Blaze, Chris Goins. Goins trying to take advantage here. He's looking to the bottom here. Closes the gap down quickly on Drew Blaze. About a car length and a half between these two. Goins pit, same lap as Drew Blaze, lap 79. Interestingly, the 5th place machine of Mark Collins, he pit lap 71. I would say he's probably not going to have enough fuel to make it to the end, but I don't know if anybody is. Do we need to make one more stop still? They still have a set of tires over the wall. It's kind of the unanswered question.
I'm looking forward to see. I don't know. It seems like an awful long way to go from lap 79 to 125 on one stint. That's tough.
We're going to see if Zach can jump over and ask one of our driver crew chiefs here what the pit window is so we can get an idea of how the rest of this race is going to shape up. Again, 91 laps in of 125. Things are coming to its conclusion here sooner than later. Chris Goins running in the 4th spot. Thought he was going to take P3 from Drew Blaze. Blaze defending nicely, using the high side to build all that momentum out of the corners. Some pit stops still wrapping up here from Kansas. Got 15 cars still on the lead lap. The 5 of Darrell Larson, the first car lap down. He's actually 2 laps down, though, so if we were to get a caution, he'd get one of those laps back. '20's in the wall. Dave Coburn pulls it down off the safer barrier. We stay under the green flag. Very common problem we've seen here at Kansas. These guys want to essentially ride right up next to that safer barrier, continue to carry as much momentum as they possibly can. The catch-22 there is if you overcook it just by that much, you're going to be in the wall. Zach Millett back from talking to, it was actually Chris Goins. What did you find out?
Boy, Steve, I had to kind of run all over the place. Good thing I had my Nikes on. I had to go down to the HBR quiet room. No luck. Chris was in there concentrating. Couldn't get a hold of him. Ran all the way down to the NTRL, or the Numb Thumbs group, and asked those guys. And it's the ballpark of 45 laps.
Roughly, okay.
Roughly. So, yeah, that certainly makes it pretty interesting. Puts it right in the ballpark here.
So let's see. Terry Crouch, pit lap 82. He'd be a couple of laps to the good.
But what about Drew? Boy, that's tight.
Drew's always really good with fuel economy and fuel mileage. He might be okay, but it's going to run out when he gets to the line. If it's a 45-lap stint, he made his pit stop at lap 79. My math says he's going to run out at lap 124, but my brain says it's Drew Blaze, and he's got it figured out. We'll see how it goes.
Boy, and it's one thing if you're out front, it's a lot easier to save fuel, you know, if you have a little room around you. But boy, when you're not in front, you still have to catch some guys. Boy, that's tough.
Terry Crouch getting into some more lap traffic. Jonathan Arnn for 43. Corey Deal in the mix, just outside the top 5. Remember, he had to go to the tail here to start this race. Qualified 19th, so it wasn't a huge penalty. The big of a wiggle there. He got the left sides on the white paint. Slides up the racetrack. He saves it, but he's going to lose some momentum. The 007 is going to try and make his way up there. Not enough of a run to do anything with it. Deal blocks off the run down into turn 1. Seemed like Corey was best late in the run, so his advantage will be if this continues under the green flag all the way to the end. He made his stop at lap 84, so he is definitely good on fuel. Jason Blaney in the top 5. And look who's next. Drew Blaze in 4th. Chris Goins has completed the pass on the 1, so move Goins up to P3. But I tell you, I would like to see the 24 of Blaney catch Drew Blaze again And speaking of fuel in Drew Blaze, let's ride on board and see if he's saving.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're new to fuel save and racing in general, what he's doing essentially is he gets into the corner, which they do need to slow down slightly for, but what he's doing is he's pushing the clutch in, reducing the RPMs that the motor is turning. It's not on the throttle, he's just kind of letting it idle, which uses far less fuel than when you're driving around the racetrack at speed. Yeah, he's saving a bunch of fuel.
And he's really not giving up that much lap time either to the rest of the guys.
Well, let's ride on board with Chris Go and see if he's doing the same thing, because he's going to have to. He hit the same lap as Drew. He is.
Interesting.
So that seems to be the common thread here. Guys that pit lap 79 or earlier are in trouble as far as fuel is concerned. 80 and north of that, PJ Cox might want to be careful as far as what he's using fuel-wise, but he may just make it. Terry Crouch seems to be in the plus. He may have an extra lap for donuts if he wins this thing. Of course, the caution would come out. It's going to change the whole ball game because I think everybody on pit lane has got a set of tires. Unless PJ Cox didn't take a set, he's made 3 pit stops. So has Michael Doan, but I don't know. It's hard to say if they got 4 every time. The most recent stop they did. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. If you do it, fuel-only stop, I just don't know how you can make that work. At least here at Kansas, the fall-off is over a second a lap.
And it just takes so long to get onto pit road and get back out. You just lose so much track position, it kills you.
Blaze maintaining the 4th position. Jason Blaney about a half straightaway behind. Corey Deal putting the pressure on. Corey can go full send all the way to the finish. Now, if I remember correctly, these two, Blaney and Deal, very familiar with each other. Raced with each other for quite a while, so they know what to expect. That's why you see these guys making pretty aggressive moves between each other, just inches apart. I don't think they're the least bit concerned about an issue happening. Let's ride on board with Blaney to see if he's saving. I don't know that he has to, but... Definitely not. That is pretty impressive then out of Drew Blaze because he's just rolling out of the throttle and dumping the clutch in. Still maintains the 4th position. Lap time's 31.96. It's about a 10th off of Terry Crouch. Terry's got a 13.5 second advantage back to the 05 of PJ Cox.
So like we said, we think Terry's more than good on gas, but boy, what a perfect scenario for him, even if he was close. I mean, he's got plenty of distance to clutch it in and save if he had to.
Well, the advantage for Terry, too, though, is even at this point, he's only made 2 stops. You know he's got a set of tires over the wall. He's quick on the new tires. He's not Chris Goins quick, but he's close. If caution does come out, he can just dump down pit lane, take the tires, and come back out. I don't see a whole lot of guys opting not to pit in that circumstance or go fuel only because they're just going to get chewed up immediately. Battle for the second spot. PJ Cox in the 05 Liquid Death Camaro. In behind, it's Chris Goins in the Eric Dotson Agency Camaro. And Goins was our pole sitter tonight. Current top 5, Terry Crouch, PJ Cox, Chris Goins, Drew Blaze, Corey Deal in the top 5. See if he's battling with Jason Blaney anymore. He is. Less than a car length between these two. Bit of a bump coming. Off-center push by the 24. Chris Muth up the racetrack. He's going to get a piece of the wall. Ken Couch coming into the fray as well. This is a battle all for position.
Man, what a gaggle late in this run.
Blaney up to the top. Ken Couch driving it way deep. It's the hottest battle on the racetrack right now for the 5th position. Corey Deal in the 9. He has it currently. Blaney, who we watched battle with Drew Blaze early on, he was trying to take it away, but now he's got his own battle to contend with. It's Chris Muth Jr. in the 8. And then Ken Couch in the 08. He's trying to take advantage as well. It's like these guys can't make a move because if they do it wrong, they make a mistake, well, all of a sudden that door opens for the guy behind, and Ken Couch is taking advantage of it right now, and Blaney's in the fence. That's a pretty big hit for the 24. He kept his foot in it. Youth up the racetrack again. Just gets into that safer barrier.
Guys are just bouncing it off that wall.
Well, you know, we've seen a lot of it. I don't want to say that they're quote-unquote wall riding or using the wall as kind of a springboard to send the car back down through the apex. I just don't think that's a great idea, even with this car is as durable as it is. But I have seen a lot of guys doing that tonight. I don't know if it's really an advantage or not.
And it might be related on how hard it is to see when you get tucked up behind somebody too. I know the entrance to turn 1 is absolutely horrible here. I hit the wall just about every 3rd lap.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, you lose your visual acuity. You got just a big bumper in front of you. Even if you're trying to use the guy in front of you as an indicator as to when to turn in. Muth and Blaney make contact. It's still going to be delayed turn in. And if that's the case, if you're running that high lane, you're going to get that thing in the wall.
It's a risky run.
Terry Crouch, still your leader, 14.89 seconds back to PJ Cox and growing. Meanwhile, Corey Deal has been able to drive away from this battle. Probably makes him feel a whole lot better knowing he's not a part of it because it was awfully aggressive there for a few laps. Coming into 9 laps to go. Deal just looking for a solid top 5 here. Oh, Blaney in the wall again.
That's so tough for the 8 car too once he commits and gets behind him too.
Oh, they get the fence and Blaney goes up the racetrack. Hard impact in the safer barrier. We're under the green flag still. Blaney's going to have some big-time damage from that one. He came down and doored the 8, and it sent himself back up the racetrack.
That's a broken end link right there. Look at that.
Tie rod's busted on that machine. He comes off the racetrack. Whoa, what's he doing?
Oh, no. Oh, boy. I think he was just trying to get out of the way there, but the car didn't exactly let him.
It's like he's trying to get a yellow flag here.
Oh, yeah.
Caution's out.
Yeah, that's intentional wrecking for a caution.
Cool your stuff, clear your head.
I'm not 100% sure if LSR has a rule against it, but I would say they probably do.
I mean, you can see that the car is really hard to drive. But I don't know.
If he was sitting right next to me, I'm saying it the same way I just did. He did that on purpose.
What's going through Terry's mind right now?
And the Blaney fans out there can get mad, that's fine, but we've all done it. We've all done it.
Blaney made it to pit lane, so he's going to, I imagine, take his fast repair. Or not?
Unless he used it earlier. He might have used it earlier because he had some damage between himself and Drew Blaze.
Well,
Maybe.
that is a game changer for him.
Maybe didn't expect to have to use it again later.
I would imagine the required repairs on that vehicle would be pretty intensive.
Well, here we go. 7 laps to go. Pit lane is open. Leaders are all down. That huge advantage, it was almost a half a lap. Terry Crouch is vanished. Now it's brass balls time. Put some 4 tires on it. Go out there and see if you can get a checkered flag. Chris Goins slides in his P1 box.
This inside lane, Steve, is going to be ridiculous off the restart. You're going to have Terry with Chris right behind him, the 2 fastest cars of the night. I can't wait.
Good stop for Terry Crouch, 14.93 seconds. Ken Couch, a 9.9 second stop. Might have been 2 tires only. I don't know if I like that call. I know it's going to get him some track position, and it's a gamble. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. We haven't seen a whole lot of guys try it. Nobody else up and down pit lane did it, just the 08. Puts you in a position where you're either a moron or a genius. There is no middle ground. I say that with all the love in the world, by the way. It's a gamble. I mean, it's the difference between being the smartest guy on pit road and the dumbest guy on pit road is how well your gamble pays off. And it doesn't actually mean that he's an idiot, but it's the difference between a good and a bad call is the results. You know, we're going to have, I think, 3 or 4 to go when we go back to the green flag. So he doesn't need to fight the car for long. Now, maybe he's practiced this. Maybe he ran the car in practice with just a 2-tire change. Maybe he's fully aware of what to expect out of the race car with just a 2-tire change. I don't think he's going to go out here and knock the door down with Terry Crouch and take the lead away. But maybe he gets a good top 5 out of this. I mean, Ken started back in the 17th spot. This would be a great finish if he could finish up here in the 2nd or 3rd spot.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, what place was he in when he came down pit road?
That's a good question. That I don't know.
I would imagine maybe around the 10th spot or maybe even a little past the 10th
I don't think
spot.
it was that far down, really, because he was battling with Corey and Blaney for a while. And Muth. They were all together in that pack. I mean, he gained, 4 spots out of it.
It gives him a chance, That's all you can ask for.
So, wave around cars are out of the way. Field working turn number 2. We are on the 1 to go. Green flag is going to come out with 3 laps remaining. We do have an opportunity for the green-white checker to be used if necessary. Only 2 opportunities if it is needed, not 3. Which I kind of like 2. 2's a little bit better, but realistically, we haven't had to use it all that much. A lot of attrition here tonight, though. You look at this field and what's left of it, it's starting to look like a Busch Clash field.
Yeah, it really does. All right, game time.
iRacing pace car pulls off down pit lane. Barney the flagman with a green in hand.
Flag.
Terry Crouch with the jump gets away. 3 laps to go from Kansas.
Good start by Terry. Did exactly what he had to do.
BJ Cox making short work of Ken Couch. Chris Goins gets held up a bit by the 08 down the backstretch, nowhere to go. Corey Deal side by side with Drew Blaze. Chris Goins goes to the bottom. Drew Blaze is up in the wall. Corey Deal and they make contact with the 28. They save it. Oh, and they don't. They're crashing across the stripe. Caution is out.
Save.
Corey Deal made contact with Chris Goins. Chris almost had it gathered up, but then spins back in front of the field.
Boy, that would have been the save of the year if he held on to that.
Goins probably not a happy camper. Oh, man, who was that going by on the high side?
They were not slowing down, that's for sure. Sheesh.
Wow. All right, we'll back it up here. Contact was already made at this point. Started in the middle of turn 4. You see the 9 is going to pull up here. Let's see if I can get a better angle on it. There we go. And I think Corey just lost the nose there. Slides into the left rear Goins. He checks up. He gives Chris the opportunity to try and save it. He knows he got into him. But Goins gets down to the flat while he's trying to correct the car, and it just walks straight up the racetrack in front of the 9, in front of Sean Roberts, Derek Welch. They all get a piece.
Man, that's a tough break. I think Chris's car, if it didn't get down on the flats there, he probably would have saved that thing.
That's the thing with these cars, though. They are not easy to save, especially when you start changing directions. The weight shifts on the car.
The Eric Dotson curse lives on, Steve.
I don't know. You put it on the pole, though. It's a start.
It is a good start. Little baby steps.
So fast repair burned by Chris Goins. Just not going to be enough time to do a whole lot with it.
Boy, it shows him in 10th place still, though. That's
Well,
really
that's,
not bad.
if you think about it, though, there was only 13 cars, I think, still on the lead lap. It might still be the case.
And there could be another green-white checkered. I mean, he's really not out of it.
He's not out of it. There's opportunity. I don't think he's going to have a win out of this. Can he sniff the top 5 still? I don't know. It's possible. Obviously, if you're real aggressive on the restart and knowing Chris, he's going to be a little hot inside that helmet. He's going to go. Tristan Sykes mentioning these cars have the new damage model. Stuff breaks a little bit different and does weird stuff. Talking about Jason Blaney into whether or not that was an intentional yellow flag or not. It's something that I'm sure someone is going to ask it to be looked at. It very well could just be the case that the car was damaged, and I don't know. It's tough to say. You're going to have to look at the steering. But again, it could just be a matter of him trying to keep the thing straight down the straightaway. Personally, I would have pulled as soon as he got to the inside, stop the car and tow it.
Yeah, and, you know, another thing to look at there that you could probably see without going to the replay was the speed, you know.
But nonetheless, they'll figure it out.
That's a job for the admins.
Tristan goes, if it was up to me, ban everyone that causes a caution. Well, at some point, we wouldn't have anybody left.
It'd be great if we could do that from the booth. We get like a little band stick sound and everything. Should make that happen.
Lightning bolt flashes down, and he just disappears.
Yes.
All right. So this is definitely a green-white checkered situation. as you see. Tarek Welch says, I would like to fight someone right now.
Yeah, he had a good one going. You hate to see it, man.
He really did. He even got some laps led tonight. Derek Welch was having a good night.
That is the worst feeling. You do the whole damn race and you get down to the last 5 laps and something happens. Oh, you hate it for him. So if you're Terry, do you switch up your restart?
Nope. I think if you're Terry, you take that whole shot as soon as you get an opportunity and you get moving. He's got to get away from Drew Blaze. PJ Cox has shown some strength as well. Terry's going to earn his money here. He's going to have to.
I am definitely excited to see it. Let's see how it unfolds.
That second row's got quite a gap back, though. They're not tucked in real tight.
No, they should be a lot closer than that. And this is how the whole field stacks up when they do it last second like this, too.
Green flag.
Another good restart for the 59. PJ Cox asleep at the wheel. It's really just that restart zone. It is such a detriment to the outside car, that the second place machine. Everyone's so afraid of getting that penalty because you kind of walk the fine line. Not a turn number 2, though. Lap and a half to go, and we got trouble in the backstretch again. Sean Roberts involved. Stays under the green flag. Everybody gets out of the way. Meanwhile, second place, Drew Blaze and Ken Couch having it out.
There's
White
the white
flag.
flag.
Terry Crouch, a half-second advantage while these two battle for the second spot. Corey Neal's closing in. He wants to sniff this top 3. 2-tire stop for Ken Couch. So far, so good. It's paying off for the 08. Sits there in the second spot. Meanwhile, out of turn number 4, the 59 of Terry Crouch, looking for a checkered flag. His first win of the season, the Lone Star Racing Cup Series. Terry Crouch wins at Kansas.
Good job, Terry.
Ken Couch takes the 2-tire strategy to a second-place finish. I would say genius.
That, sir, is a successful story right there. Beautiful. Good strategy. We knew it all along.
Terry Crouch, your race winner from Kansas Speedway. Now, you want to say dominating performance, and it truly was. He didn't get the front row, but he led a lot of laps tonight and even had to fend off these guys. A couple of restarts to close out the race. He definitely earned his money. Took this checkered flag. See if we see a subdued celebration for Terry or not.
Oh, yeah, he's going to burn it down. He's been waiting a little bit for this one. The Road King.
Terry Crouch proving that he doesn't need to turn right to win races. Excellent job for Terry Crouch. We're going to jump out and get our last break out of the way, have our top 3 finishers in the booth after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Kansas Speedway, the Kansas City 125 Lonestar Racing Cup Series. Race number 5 is in the books. Terry Crouch, your race winner. Ken Couch, second, and Drew Blaze, P3. We're going to pull Terry Crouch into the broadcast booth. This should be a good one. Terry, it's Steve and Zach Millett in the broadcast booth. You got us?
I do. How you boys doing?
Doing well, sir. Congratulations, man. A solid run here tonight. Didn't quite have what it took to get the pole. Had an issue on that first lap, but never mind. The big money is paid at the end of the race. Walk us through it, man. A dominating performance and a win.
Yeah, a lot of work this week. Got tired of being fast and using my tires up, so I put a lot of work this week to figure out what was my target lap time, how can I hold it. So just more work than usual, and of course I botched my qualifying lap, and I was confident in the long run pace, so I just tried to keep it calm and keep it up front.
Very cool to see the sim pit in victory lane. A different paint scheme. We didn't expect it. I was expecting to see living print. But since we've talked about it, let's talk about it some more. Walk us through what's living print all about.
Oh, it's I ran it for launch week, but it's an app that, like if you're on vacation or if you have family in other places, everybody takes pictures, everybody takes videos, but then from the app you can add all the videos, all the pictures you want, and a postcard is printed by our nationwide distributors, so you don't actually mail anything, but it's printed how you want it to lay out, so when your family member or your friend or whoever scans a QR code, they get their whole slideshow that you put together and customize, but then they also have a physical card they can put on their fridge or whatever people do. So it's kind of merging old school physical print with digital age.
Certainly a cool concept. Have to check it out. Back to the racing side of things. Next week we go to Nashville Super Speedway. Concrete racing surface out there. As far as the size is concerned, pretty similar to Kansas Speedway, but the track runs very different from here. What are your thoughts rolling into Nashville?
Absolutely no idea. Never seen it, so I'll have to do a lot of laps. I hadn't been on this place, I think, but once before, so anywhere I've never been, I got to do a lot of practice, and I probably should do it every week, but I've been slacking some, but this week I really wanted to perform well.
Well, it paid off. You got the win here. Of course, there's going to be a win penalty to contend with next week, but I'm sure you'll be fine with that. It'd be fun to watch you work your way through the field. Congratulations again on the win here tonight. We're going to let you go. Is there anyone you want to shout out to?
Yeah, my wife, the kids, all the grandkids, sponsor GSI, SimPit, my team at TLDR SimSport, and of course you guys. This is always fun. I love watching these things back, and so thanks everybody.
All right, Terry, again, congratulations. Good luck next week.
Thanks, boys.
Terry Crouch, your race winner. Next, we're going to go to Ken Couch, the gambler. We pull him up in the broadcast booth and get a word with the driver of the Budweiser 08. You are a gambling man, Ken Couch. It's Steve and Zach in the booth. You with us?
I am.
Ken,
it was gonna be a check or a wrecker for sure.
I tell you, we watched you guys come down pit lane, and I'm looking. I'm like 9 seconds for a pit stop. There's no way he took 4. I assume it was just 2, or was it fuel only?
It was 2 right sides and just a little bit of fuel, and that was it.
Well, Ken, that was when you left pit lane, and I see everybody in the list: 4 tires, 4 tires, 4 tires. Ken Couch, 2 tires. I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if this is going to work out for him. We literally called you a moron on the air. We did.
What you think?
But we said it specifically, like, the results of the gamble determine whether you're an idiot or a genius. And well, P2, not an idiot tonight, sir. Genius move.
Well, I just thoroughly screwed up my qualifying lap. Just thoroughly screwed. In fact, I stopped and went back to the pit and started over again. So I just had 1 lap. So I started way back in the back, and then all night it was just trying to get up to the front. And it seemed like when the guys would pass me and I knew they would wear their tires out, I just tried to catch up. And finally that last run, I got up in the top 8, top something, I don't know. But when I actually had 3 laps to the good in fuel if it would have stayed green all the way, and the guys were talking about they were real close, and then that last caution come out, and I was like, jeez, what do I do? So I threw my hands up in the air and put 2 on it, and then said, call it good and see what happens.
Well, you did
It
a
worked.
masterful job calling the strategy and an even better job holding off a hard-charging Drew Blaze there at the end. Big slide job out of turn 2 on the white flag lap, and you managed to stay out ahead of him and bring that thing home to a solid second-place finish. Ken, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do on the broadcast, too. Appreciate
Happy to do it. Want to ask you, next week we're going to be in Nashville Super Speedway. Again, a different track surface, still a fast racetrack. How do you feel about your odds out there?
I had a really good couple runs out there last year, or last season. I really kind of like the track. It will eat tires up, but I kind of hope that I learn something with these cars, and I'm pretty good when the tires kind of wear out a little bit and everybody kind of falls off. So I hope it's a good one for us. You know, I'll take seconds all day long, but it'd be nice to win one for a change.
Well, Ken, again, congratulations, man. Good luck next week. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, of course, my wife, and for letting me do this stuff, and all the guys on LSR, Drew and Justin and Fahey for painting some stuff for me. I mean, they're all good. They give me a little bit of tidbits. They don't tell me everything, but they tell me enough to get fast. So, you know, Drew just, I mean, he's just the best. He tells me a lot of good little tips, and I try to soak it up. But they're just a good bunch of guys.
All right, Ken. Well, again, good luck next week. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
It's Ken Couch, your runner-up here at Kansas Speedway. Sounded like a winner's interview, didn't it?
They did.
Next, we're going to go to Drew Blaze, our third-place finisher. Had a solid run, just couldn't do anything with it at the end. Let's pull him up here. Drew, it's Steve and Zach in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Drew, congratulations on a P3 finish. Started 8th, not a great Q run, but we've seen that with you a couple of times where maybe it doesn't go so great in qualifying, but you're always there battling for the win late in the race. Walk us through the race and those last couple of laps trying to get on by the 08 to Ken Couch.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just felt really tight all night. I don't like having a tight race car, so I was just kind of doing what I could and just managing. And it's actually going to be really close on fuel at the end there if we went green. So, you know, just kind of running out. I tried saving tires the first end. It didn't really seem like it was helping me out, so I was pretty much going the whole rest of the race. And yeah, those last laps were they were fun, but the car was tight, and I really Ken, I think, took 2 tires there, and I think it helped him out being able to turn the car. And I was just so tight, I couldn't turn it off the top, and he had the better end of it there.
It was certainly a fun battle to watch, but speaking of fun battles to watch, I want to go back to the back and forth between yourself and Jason Blaney mid-race. You guys were door banging, slide jobbing, crossing over. Walk us through what was going on there. Was that just having fun, or are you guys angry at each other?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say I was angry, but I was not pleased with the way he was cutting my nose off and then shoving me up the track and everything. So I decided to give it back to him, and then I just got tired of it. Doored him all the way down to the bottom of the track on the backstretch. Make sure he knows I'm not going to put up with it.
Well, good, bad, or indifferent, it was certainly entertaining to watch in the broadcast. We couldn't pull the cameras away from you guys for even a while after that. Just because, like, well, this is going to heat up again. We're going to watch.
yeah. But you know, we didn't wreck each other at the end of the day, so I guess all fair there.
Well, it is what it is. Moving on to Nashville Super Speedway next week. What are your thoughts about that track?
I love Nashville. It's a real tire eater. Concrete. Yeah, we'll see what it has. But I enjoy that place. Gotten a couple wins there, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Drew. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. We're going to let you go. Who do you want to shout out to?
Yeah, just got to thank Lonestar Racing, Garza Law Firm, Mike Fahey, Justin Johnson, just everybody that comes out and runs this league every week. It's been a blast so far, and we're going to keep going. And thank you for putting on the broadcast.
All right, Drew. Thanks for the kind words, man. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
It's Drew Blaze, your third place finisher. Let's take a look at our race results on the evening. We talked to our top 3. Fourth place was Corey Deal Would have had the hard charger with one more position, or if he finished ahead of Ken Couch. Looks like Ken Couch's P2, he was up 15 spots. So was Corey Deal, but with the higher finishing position that Ken Couch gets, I would say that we would classify him as the hard charger driver of the race. Fifth place finisher was PJ Cox. Sixth place, Chris Muth Jr. Chris Goins battles back to a seventh place finish. Certainly disappointing. Won the pole, ran up front most of the night, and just had an issue late with an incident. Had to battle back. Luckily, there wasn't a whole lot of guys that were on the lead lap, so didn't lose too many spots and was able to make up some there late. Solid run, and good luck to him going into Nashville Superspeedway next week. Nick Kulikowski was 8th. Michael Doan was 9th. Mark Collins finished in the 10th position. Sean Roberts was 11th. Clay Atwood 12th. Dane Lloyd was 13th. Jason Blaney was 14th. 15th, Darrell Larson. Tim Dummermuth was 16th. Derek Welch, tough 17th place finish. Dave Coburn was 18th. Jarrett Woodard was 19th. Mark Mitchell 20th. Jonathan Arnn 21st. Justin Johnson 22nd. 77 laps down. Still unsure the issue with Justin Johnson. I don't really see anything in the race that indicated a problem, possibly due to a hardware problem. Hopefully that's all that it is. But if it's anything significant, we'll certainly try to follow up on that. But those are your race results. The Kansas City 125 presented by Lonestar Racing. It's in the books. Race 6 next week, Nashville Super Speedway. Certainly going to be a fun one to watch, Zach. Can I expect maybe get you in the booth again next week? I know you're kind of here on a volunteer basis, but you don't have to be here.
Oh man, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, Steve. If I'm not, stuck at work, I'll be here, man.
All right. Well, we'll still pay you for the GT3 side because that's how we get it done.
And
all right, Zach. Well, again, thanks for joining us up in the broadcast booth. Certainly make these things a little easier to get done, and I get lonely up here. It gives me something to talk to. Guys in the stream chat help too, but if you guys haven't already done it, also please follow us, like us, share us, subscribe us, turn on those notifications. youtube.com/@HBRTV and the number 1. Of course, turn the notifications on, that way you don't miss a minute of any of the live action over here. And then for some intermittent posts, we've had some fun iRacing news that we've shared over on the Facebook side. You can follow us there as well, facebook.com/HBRTV1. So please help us out. All the likes, the shares, it does help the channel. It gets us in front of more eyeballs, and that's always a good thing. That's going to do it for us here at HBR TV. I'm Steve Singer for Zach Millett. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.